everybody, and good morning all. Thank you all for joining this session. So this would be our third webinar, and we have a renowned speaker from NIT Calicut. Our speaker's name is Dr. Harikrishna, and we actually wholeheartedly we are having a lot of gratitude towards sir, who willingly joined us to talk more about the significance and prospects of transportation engineering, basically in higher studies. So welcome all of you, and I request Aishwarya Unni to kindly give the welcome address.
Yeah, so today we're going to see the international webinar series on significance and prospects of civil engineering. And the webinar is presented by Dr. Harikrishna N, who completed his bachelor's degree in civil engineering from the College of Engineering, Trivandrum, Kerala University, and the master's degree from the College of Engineering, Hindi, Anna University. He completed his doctoral studies from the Indian Institute of Technology, Roorkee, in the year 2013. He joined NIT Calicut in 2005 and is presently working as the assistant professor in the Department of Civil Engineering. His specialization is in transportation engineering. He has published several research papers in international and national journals and conferences. He has guided 16 projects at undergraduate level and 15 projects at postgraduate level, and is currently guiding 4 research scholars. He is a team member of the Center of Transportation Engineering, a center of excellence set up under FASC scheme with the support from MOE and GOI. He has conducted many faculty development programs in the area of urban transport system planning, traffic engineering, and advanced surveying. His research interests include travel behavior modeling, stated and revealed preferences study, survey planning and design, and capacity and level of service examination of transport facilities. He has handled several administrative responsibilities at NIT Calicut, such as the Associate Dean Academic, Deputy Center IT, CCB Counseling Center, Member UG Admission Committee, NSS Program Officer, and Program Coordinator, etc. He has also membership in professional bodies such as the Indian Road Congress and the Indian Society for Technical Education. And I hope all of you would enjoy the guest lecture and gain a lot of information from it. Thank you. Over to you, ma'am.
Thanks a lot, Aishwarya. Sir, I request you to kindly, you can engage the crowd. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Aishwarya, and thank you, Vellore Institute of Technology, Chennai, for inviting me to deliver a talk on significance and prospects of civil engineering. I'll be talking to you in detail about transportation engineering. I also remain beholden to Dr. Anjali Gopakumar and Dr. Gautam Sarang, who have been known to me for quite some time, for inviting me. Thank you very much, Madam and Sir. Now, coming to what we'll be discussing, I'll have a brief overlook about what we'll be discussing today. Before I start, let me start with a quote by Rudyard Kipling, which says, "I keep 6 honest serving men. They taught me all I knew. Their names are what and why and when and how and where and who." So my talk will essentially try to answer some of these questions relating to civil engineering and transportation engineering. I would also start with a small disclaimer that whatever material that I'm presenting here is not entirely my own, and I don't claim any originality for this. You might refer to all the references that I've put at the end and enlighten yourself better. Okay, so during this session, I would like to talk about civil engineering, why you want to opt for civil engineering. And then I'll go into transportation engineering and transportation planning. What is traffic engineering? What is pavement technology? Because you need to know what these things are before you can appreciate going into perhaps a master's in transportation engineering. I'll be talking about the opportunities which you have after your UG and PG, and what after a PG degree in transportation engineering, and some of the buzzwords and scope for research that's ongoing right now. So this will be the broad outline of what I'll be handling. Now, coming to transportation or coming to civil engineering, because I understand that the audience comprised of civil engineering students also. So perhaps I thought I would give some time of my talk into what is civil engineering, essentially we built in civil engineering. So this is what our God's own country, Kerala, experienced during the last 2018 and 2019 floods. We had calamitous floods, perhaps a once in 100-year phenomena, which devastated our state. You can see people being evacuated. You can see houses and buildings marooned. We have loss of bridges, loss of houses, infrastructure, roads, all in shambles, loss of life, and very high economics fallout as far as because of the floods. Of course, it's estimated that around 1.078 million people were displaced, 50,000 houses washed away, with the number of bridges damaged, around 80,000 kilometers of roads damaged, and of course, with the estimated cost of rebuilding being around 200 billion rupees. We don't have catastrophes exclusive to Kerala. All over India, we do face catastrophes like what the cyclone Fani at Bhubaneswar in Odisha. In Italy, which is again apocalyptic, you would see that only 700 left homeless, unlike in Kerala. Well, coming to that, perhaps people have been called out from other institutions to see how they can help in the rehabilitation work by the government. Perhaps you have civil engineers, you have electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, chemical engineers, electronics engineers, and so on. But civil engineer quite happily says, I can help you in building houses, schools, roads, bridges, electrical transmission lines, etc. During the time of this COVID pandemic, you are safe in your house, and your house is built by a civil engineer. So civil engineers essentially build. So civil engineering is a profession which has existed since quite a long time. So if you take the pyramids of Egypt and Mesopotamia, 2500 BC, the Great Wall of China, you have the Parthenon, okay? We have the Appian Way, which leads to the adage that all roads lead to Rome. In fact, you would see that some of these roads are still do exist. In fact, they have been named after Appius Claudius Caecus. Okay, the road which still exists from Rome to Italy. So you have buildings, you have monuments. So civil engineering is therefore a professional engineering discipline which deals with the design, construction, and maintenance of physical and naturally built environment. So this is a very general definition which talks about there is a design part there, there is a construction part there, and after the construction and usage of the particular structure, there is a maintenance part which also involved. That means it's a long-lasting process starting from the inception, the construction, and the maintenance. So it talks about physical and naturally built environment as something that you see all around is basically a civil engineer's work. Now, if you come to ask me question as to why you need to opt for civil engineering, perhaps in a very altruistic way, I would say that civil engineering gives me a chance to make a difference to my fellow citizens. How do I do that? Now, suppose I have a heavily trafficked road. Perhaps as a civil engineer, I would construct a walk-over bridge to help a pedestrian cross the road. I would design a rotary junction to ease the traffic congestion on the roads. Perhaps rotary is nowadays one of the primitive. You go for great separated intersections nowadays. You construct a dam which helps to protect your citizens from floods. You have water purification plants and water treatment plants, which gives potable water to the citizens. So basically, civil engineering is a very altruistic profession. It helps people quite a lot in what we build. Now, why again civil engineering? Experience is a very big asset in civil engineering. Unlike other engineering disciplines, civil engineers are paid quite a bit less, but over time, and as you gain more experience, you become the most sought after person in the industry. So age is therefore a big advantage in civil engineering. Well, the top row could be an electronics engineer or a computer science engineer, but the bottom row is essentially for a civil engineer. So as you grow older, you get more money. Okay. Now, civil engineering is also the second oldest branch of engineering. It is said that military engineering is the first or the oldest branch of engineering. We human beings are not essentially very peace-loving in nature. Military engineering was supposed to be the oldest, but civil engineering comes second. It's a very challenging field because it is lots of unknowns. So lots of unknowns could be in terms of the loads to which it is subjected to. It could be in terms of the variety of construction materials. It could be in terms of the environmental conditions. The lots of unknowns which come in civil engineering, which makes it very, very challenging. So that every project becomes a big challenge as well as civil engineering is concerned, because, and also ultimately that we look at civil engineering constructions in the economic perspective, wherein we want to construct something in good quality with less money. Okay, so the unknowns are quite a lot. There are lots of risks that are involved, the site conditions, the construction materials, the people who work with it, the labor, and so on. So there is a versatile range of positions which you can place yourself in a civil engineering profession. It could be a designer, it could be a construction engineer in the field, it could be a project management specialist. At higher levels, you can own a company. So you become an entrepreneur in that way. It's a very competitive profession because every structure that you construct is unique, and all engineering firms want to construct essentially unique structures which help to portray the particular company, the firm which they represent. So essentially the uniqueness of the construction is inherent in any civil engineering construction. So if you have good knowledge in mathematics, physics, and chemistry, please opt for civil engineering. If you're sensitive to societal needs, if you feel that you can make a difference to the people around, civil engineering is a very good profession to be in. You can proudly say that this particular structure was one that I associated myself with. Now, since civil engineering also involves people, you need to have good interpersonal skills, and because you'll be working in large groups. You might be an intermediary between your top rung manager and perhaps the construction worker in the field. So essentially, you would be working in groups. You might have to make people work. You might have to convince your client, and you might need to talk better to your manager. So you need to have good observation power and good analytical mind, because in the field, you need to have these skills in hand. In other words, you should have a real engineering sense in terms of space. Now, civil engineering is a very, very large profession. It's a very, very large discipline. It has a number of sub-disciplines like structural engineering, construction engineering and management, geotechnical engineering, environmental engineering, transportation engineering, water resources engineering, surveying, and so on. I'm sure all of you would be exposed to these civil engineering disciplines through the various courses that come in the beta curriculum. But I will be talking in more specific about transportation engineering today, because I'm specialized in that. And so I'll be talking to you about that in detail. So transportation engineering is what I'll be talking about. So I would take, what is transportation engineering? Transportation engineering is essentially to apply technology and scientific principles for the design, operation, planning, and management of all transportation infrastructure, mobility services, traffic, and travelers for various modes, which helps you to provide a safe, efficient, rapid, comfortable, convenient, economic, environmental friendly, sustainable movement of people and goods. It's a large definition. Forget it. All that you need to understand, it relates to vehicles, it relates to people, it relates to the infrastructure that has been put in place. So anything that relates to the design, that relates to the operation, the management and planning of transportation infrastructure, so that you have movement which is safe, which is efficient, which is rapid, there is less travel time, it's quite comfortable and convenient, and it's economical and it's environmentally sustainable. Quite a large objectives to be fulfilled, but transportation engineers try to do this. Okay. Why transportation engineering? Basically because your activities are separated in space. The place where you live is not the place where you study. The place where you study is not the place where you go for recreation, which is not the place perhaps where you go for your tuitions, perhaps. I do not know. So essentially, you need to move from one particular part of the city to the other, or one part of the country to the other, in case if you have a job somewhere outside. So there is a strong correlation between how human settlements have evolved and the proximity of transport facilities. Which is why if you take large cities, you would see that most of the large cities are located near in the vicinity of rivers, because rivers helped in navigation. Okay, so or near large roads, which came later. So there is a strong correlation between the quality of a transportation facility and what's the standard of living that you have. So essentially, what as a transportation engineer we're interested is in giving out a good quality transportation service so that people achieve higher standards of living. So this is quite evident because if you take the case of developed countries like United States of America, what the planners do is to lay out roads and allow the development to take place, unlike in India, where we allow the development to take place and then construct a road. So causing large issues such as the availability of space for expansion, provision of more transportation facilities, and so on and so forth. So essentially, transportation engineering comes into picture when people and goods needs to move or needs to be transported from one particular place to the other. So this is essentially true also of not only of people, but also of goods, since industrial production and the places of industrial production, the places of industrial consumption are again separated spatially And therefore, people need facilities or infrastructure and also vehicles to move. So in this respect, I would tend to give you a broad outline of what is a transportation system. The transportation system is an optimum combination of fixed facilities. So what you see here are the railway lines, the large bus terminals, the docks and harbors, the pipelines, the grade separated intersections, and of course, the metro stations or whatever that you want it. So it would have flow entities. The flow entities could be people, it could be vehicles, it could be trains, planes, and ships. It would have operational plans, a timetable at which these vehicles run. Storage facilities in terms of bus depots, in case of rail depots, in case of aircraft hangars, in case of docks and harbors, and large warehouses. Control systems, which could be active control systems like your signals, or passive control systems like a rotary or a roundabout, in case of signaling systems in trains, in case of landing systems which help for aircrafts. So it's optimum combination control systems that are essentially designed to improve the accessibility by overcoming the friction offered in the geographical space, which provides a time and space utility to desired activity while maintaining the environment and looking for sustainable alternatives requiring less resource consumption. In fact, it's a long shot for many of us, but essentially, please remember, the transportation system comprises of the infrastructure, the management system, and a set of transportation modes and their operators. So essentially, it involves many people in it. So it's multimodal in that you have large number of modes involved. Say, for example, you're traveling from Chennai to Delhi, and if you look at the modes that you would be using to move, perhaps you'd be taking a taxi from your home to your airport, take a plane to Delhi, perhaps get down at Delhi airport, and then catch the airport metro to come to the New Delhi station, get down to the New Delhi metro station and take another metro to maybe Horse Cars, and from Horse Cars, take another taxi to your destination. So you see how many number of modes that you use. So essentially, transportation systems are multimodal. They are multi-sectoral because it involves not only the government, but also the private operators and the public operators. You have a multi-problem relating to economy, relating to the fuel that is being used in terms of environment, in terms of the social aspects associated with it. It's multi-objective because you have many objectives to be fulfilled, as we have seen earlier. You want to save the environment, you want to have lesser travel time, but you want to be convenient with convenience, comfort, and so on and so forth. So it's multi-objective, and it's also multidisciplinary because we have people involved. So there is a bit of sociology in it. You have transport economics where we try to work out the quantum of money that is involved in transportation projects. So you have traffic engineers, you have people. So it's quite multidisciplinary in nature. So essentially, you see that transportation systems are quite huge and they have lots of scope for you to indulge in so as to solve their problems. Now, if you come in transportation engineering, we come across 4 major disciplines in transportation engineering, which are essentially transportation planning. We have geometric design, the traffic engineering, and pavement technology. So these are the 4 major disciplines in transportation engineering. I'll give a bit of time for these because I want you to understand what exactly these specializations are. So when I come to transportation planning, if you come to transportation planning, you see that transportation planning is essentially taken for urban areas. The reason being that the population of urban areas are increasing over the years. So if you see this particular graph, you would see that from 1960 onwards, the urban population is showing a rising trend compared to the rural population, which has shown almost a stabilizing trend. So almost 55% of the people in the world live in the urban areas. And there is a mass migration of people from the rural to urban areas in search of employment, in search of facilities. Now, if you look at the population density, you see that more number of people live in urban areas. Of course, Dhaka is much ahead of us in terms of 44,000 people per square kilometer. Mumbai is 32,300. Chennai is not far, 9,700, and so on and so forth. So you see that major cities are highly population overcrowding is happening. And you have, again, the projected by 2050, you have close to 7 billion people who will be living in the urban areas. So, so this is a huge amount. So although the population is expected to be 9.8 billion, you see that around 7 billion is expected to live in urban areas. So therefore, you have problems associated with longer commuting time. You take long time to move from one point to the other. There is lack of public transportation systems. It's very difficult for you as a non-motorized transport user, maybe a bicycle user, or maybe as a pedestrian, to go on the roads because of large number of traffic. You have loss of public space because people keep acquiring the land for expanding of your transport infrastructure. There is a compromise on the safety because you have large number of crashes, and of course there is congestion on the roads, associated pollutions, and so on and so forth. Now, considering all these challenges which people in urban areas face, it is essential that we need to go in for some amount of planning, which is nothing but a long-term aspect, planning or preparation for long-term aspects, which could be a long-term strategic planning, which is pretty complex, based on long-term predictions, which involve maybe government, administration, and the public. So essentially, when you think about long-term strategic planning, it would be like projects like the Golden Quadrilateral or the North-South, East-West corridors, which involve long roads being constructed for a very systematic upgradation of the road infrastructure in the country. So you have a long-term strategic planning, which could be taken, or it could be a short-term to medium-term planning. Now, the long-term or strategic planning usually goes to up to say around 15 to 20 years, while the short-term to medium-term planning comes to around say up to 5 years or 5 to 10 years. So essentially, the short-term or medium-term planning is a bit more less complex. It's very specific. It involves the public. It's very specific. So it could be a network improvement measure in a particular city. It could be a junction improvement measure, right? So, and it's also less complex. So these are the two levels at which the planning aspect tends to take place. Now, of course, again, you look at transportation planning, you see that it would involve a study of the demographic characteristic of a particular area, because we normally try to do transportation planning to an urban area. We see how these characteristics tend to change with time. So it's a time series data that we'd be using, and we will try to evaluate the alternatives or improvements that are there in the transportation system so that the system adjusts itself to the changes in demand. So essentially, in transportation planning, we are associated with long-term or future-oriented aspects, wherein there are uncertainties in predictions. Usually, we tend to balance short-term and long-term benefits when we design something. So essentially, we do about what we do is urban travel demand modeling, where we talk about how, from where do people start their travel, which are the routes which they take, how do they travel, which particular modes do they use. Is it possible for me to design a particular new system, say a public transportation system, so that people would leave their private vehicles and move towards a public transport oriented society? So we talk about public transport planning and design. We talk about freight demand modeling, because which involve many material transport to be done in a particular area. So freight demand modeling could be done with respect to a city. It could be done again with respect to a country or a region over a larger area, from industrial areas, industrial production areas, to consumption goods. So we talk about environmental impact assessment here, which is a mandatory statutory provision which needs to be done for transportation infrastructure projects of large dimensions. We try to see how land use and transportation interacts, because I told you that there is a strong link or strong correlation between how the land is used for a particular purpose and how the transportation facilities are provided. We talk about the analysis of a transportation system in terms of how many number of people does it carry, how does it cater to demand, are the people happy. We talk about transport economics and appraisal, where we try to quantify the benefits associated with projects. We try to see whether we can give a project where the cost-benefit ratio, or the benefit-cost ratio, I would say, is greater than 1, which means benefits outweigh the costs. So we try to quantify, okay, the construction cost, the maintenance cost, and so on. We try to quantify what are the benefits associated with it in terms of reduction in travel time, in terms of maybe a lesser number of pollution, and so on and so forth. And we try to do an appraisal of the existing projects. We do some parking planning to particular area, many more. So essentially, transportation planning is when we take a large area and try to design transportation facilities for that large area. Now, this could be for both motorized as well as for non-motorized movement. As I told you, freight is also inherent in that. So we consider not only people, but we also consider the goods aspect. Okay, so this is in transportation planning. Now, The second aspect is geometric design, wherein we talk about the physical proportioning of the transportation facility. So this is something which people might have studied in transportation engineering 1, I do not know, wherein we talk about the alignment, the horizontal alignment and the vertical alignment, how much of what should be the carriageway width, what should be the pavement, pavement condition. We talk about what should be the median to be provided, the sidewalks to be provided, and so on. We talk about the design of intersections also, sometimes in geometric design. So essentially, when you have a straight alignment and you have a horizontal alignment in terms of curves, it could be horizontal curves or vertical curves, we talk about geometric design. Okay, so geometric design is also forms a part of transportation engineering. So geometric design has lots of influence because it has its impact on safety. So this is a news item which has come that the controversial flyover design has resulted in fatal accidents in Hyderabad. And this is one news item which has come in the Times of India, which says that a huge quantum of accidents in rural areas can be attributed to faulty roads, which are built in defiance of the norms set by the Indian Road Congress, and cited the examples of potholes and curves on roads. So essentially, geometric design has a lot to do with safety. So a good design, for example, one typical example which comes to my mind is the faulty design of the East Coast Road when it was conceived long back, I think in the year 2000. So when the East Coast Road, the initial alignment was East Coast Road was done, it had lots of sharp curves, which resulted in crashes, and the Madras High Court had to intervene and make the government acquire the land and change the geometrics of the East Coast Road so that it's more safe for its users. So essentially, you have this aspects of geometric design being playing a very huge role in the safety. Now, the third aspect in transportation engineering is traffic engineering, which is again a phase which leads with the planning, the design and traffic operations on the roads, on the terminals, on the highways, etc. Now, basically, traffic engineering helps to provide a very safe system for both pedestrians and bicyclists, which helps you to have an efficient operation of the road network. The objectives could be sustainability, environmental impact, comfort, safety, convenience, etc. You would see that some of these aspects always tend to overlap, but it's quite natural in transportation engineering. So again, when you look at transportation systems, we have facilities, you have vehicles and the control systems, and you have the users and the environment on the other side. Okay. So here we conduct traffic studies and traffic characteristics. So basically, we go for traffic volume studies, parking studies. Say, for example, you have a large event that is coming. Say, for example, the Commonwealth Games, or you have the Olympics that has been proposed to be conducted in a city. What should be the traffic arrangement in the particular city? Should we have bus only lanes? How will be able to cater to the parking which is expected because of the people who want to come and witness events? So you conduct lots of traffic studies. We do a performance evaluation of existing systems. We see how these systems are catering to the traffic now. Okay, we do a facility design. We try to talk about flyovers, grade separate intersections, the physical proportioning of the vehicles, of the roadway, the traffic control that is provided. It could be a passive control or an active control. How does the traffic operate on these roads? What are system management measures that you can incorporate? So for example, which of the lanes could be a one-way lane, which should be a two-way lane, which should have restrictions for trucks in the morning and morning hours, or maybe in the evening peak hours. We talk about user fees, etc. Again, in transportation engineering, we talk about the integration to the intelligent transportation systems, because essentially now we have the data that is coming up on a regular basis, and we have dynamic data rather than static data. So how can transportation systems be designed to account for the dynamic nature of the data retrieval? So essentially, we see that in traffic engineering, we have two main aspects here. One is the demand management, and another is the supply management, system management. System management is nothing but how do you manage the supply side. The demand side is how do you manage the demand. So traffic engineering tries to consider these aspects into consideration. The last major specialization is pavement technology. Pavement technology, of course, is a specialization which all of you are quite familiar with. The reason being that some of our roads are in such a pathetic condition, which could be attributed to faulty designs or maybe faulty materials. So in the pavement technology, we talk about the structural design of flexible pavements and rigid pavements. The flexible pavements are nothing but the bituminous roads that we ply upon, and the rigid pavements are nothing but the cement concrete pavements. So we talk about the structural aspects as to how it has a strength to withstand the loads, whether it has good riding quality, and it has good drainage so that it is prevented from, or it's protected from, the water infiltration. In pavement technology, we design the various paving materials that we use. We determine the layers of layer thicknesses, which comprises of materials of a different quality. And what are the pavement construction and maintenance procedures that you can adopt for constructing good roads. Now, so these are some of the areas which gives transportation engineering what it is. Excuse me. So now I'll come to the second part of my talk, which is what is the future after your UG and PG. Now, assuming that you have studied your various courses in BTech Civil Engineering, what is it that you can do? Well, I would rather look it up like this, that you have, after your BTech Civil Engineering, you have a core jobs, you have options for higher studies, maybe you have other options. I'm not considering options like going to a software job right now. I would be focusing more on the core jobs, okay? So in which particular case, suppose I take the public sector. Public sectors, of course, you have the Indian Engineering Service, which is a service which is, again, the entry into which is through an examination conducted by the Union Public Service Commission, where you would be getting an entry into the central engineering services like the central PWD, the Border Roads Organization, the Central Water Engineering Services, the Indian Defense Service of Engineers, which is a military engineering service, the Indian Railway Service of Engineers. Now the railways are going for their own separate test, the Indian Railway Stores Service, okay, the Survey of India Service, and so on. So this is basically the central government, the Indian engineering service that comes into picture. Of course, you have public sector undertakings like the IOCL, you have the NTPC, you have the ONGC, the BEL, NHPC, the Power Grid Corporation of India. Some of these are Navaratna companies, and therefore, it's quite lucrative on your part to get a placement here. They also sponsor you for higher studies. You have other government undertakings like the Hindustan Petroleum, the Nuclear Power Corporation of India, the Airport Authority of India, the Indian Railways, and so on. So these are the Navy Lignite Corporation. So these are some of the other government undertakings where there is an option for you after your BTech. You have the Baba Atomic Research Center, the NBCC, the National Building Construction Consortium, the RITES, the Rail Vikas Nigam, the Oil and Power Gas Commission, the Central PWD, the IRCON, okay, and some of these are the other government undertakings where there is a possibility for you. Of course, most of these undertakings have sometimes take through their own tests, or sometimes they use the GATE scores. You have the state government services. I have given the examples of the Kerala state. You have again the same state government services in your state as well. If you're from Tamil Nadu, you have the Tamil Nadu Public Works Department. You have the Tamil Nadu State Electricity Board, Tamil Nadu State Slum Clearance Board, Tamil Nadu Housing Board, and so on and so forth. You have many of these departments where it's possible for you to get a job after your BTech. So they take BTech civil engineers basically. So that's basically the public sector. If you're not a person who wants to go into public sector and you want to serve in the private sector, go ahead. You have the Larsen & Toubro, you have the L&T Constructions, the Punch Lloyd, the Gammon India, the Tata Consulting Engineers. Okay, the Tata Projects are the people who have now got as a consulting firm for the Central Vista project. So you have the GMR Group, the Sapurji Pallonji, the SP Construction, and so on and so forth. So you have a number of opportunities in the private sector. Of course, many of these companies might be visiting your college, perhaps to get good recruitments. Okay. If you are a person who would like to be on your own and you wouldn't want another person to breathe down your back, you can start your own firm. You can have a licensed engineer certification, which would help you to start your own firm. You can be an entrepreneur thereby, and you can give jobs to many other people. So you can be on your own feet. So that's something that you do. Or if your father is a construction engineer and he owns a firm, you're free to join him. So essentially, you will be your own boss. You don't have to be answerable to anybody other than yourself and your family. So that's essentially basically on your licensed engineer certification part. Of course, higher studies is another option that I would always recommend. Abroad, I would always recommend you for Master of Science, for which you might require a GRE and a TOEFL, and perhaps a good enough statement of purpose. And certain skill sets that they would look forward. So you have MIT, Stanford, Berkeley, Georgia Tech, Purdue, NUS, which is quite near here, University of California, Michigan State University, Carnegie Mellon. So you have many MS foreign universities. I'm sure many of your seniors are already working there. Many of our own students have also graduated and they are working there. So essentially you have many universities abroad. In India, of course, you have the MTech and the MS in IITs and of course Indian Institute of Science, IISc. So you have opportunities to go into IIT Madras, which is of course in Chennai itself. And then you have IIT Delhi, IIT Bombay, IIT Kanpur, IIT Kharagpur, and IIT Palakkad, which is one IIT which we have in Kerala, and IIT Roorkee. So some of these major IITs. You can also have Master of Science and Master of Technology programs in NITs like NIT Trichy, NIT Rourkela, NIT Warangal, NIT Calicut, NIT Nagpur, and so on and so forth. So that's also left to you. And of course, you have private institutes which offer their postgraduate programs. VIT do offer its own postgraduate program in structural engineering, as far as I know. You have NICMAR, wherein you can do a PG diploma in construction engineering and management, which is there in Goa and also in Pune. And you have the Amity University, you have the BITS Pilani, you have the BITS Goa, you have the BITS Hyderabad, you have the BITS Ranchi, okay? And then of course you have SRM. So these are some of the good private institutions which offer opportunities for higher studies, okay, in India. Of course, you can have research. Research positions are available in most of these universities in India as well as abroad, both IITs, NITs, and of course private universities. But I will also add to this some of the institutions under the CSIR, which is the Center for Scientific and Industrial Research. Essentially, we have the SCRC, the Structural Engineering Research Center, which has its headquarters at Chennai. You have the NEERI, the National Environmental Engineering Research Institute, which is situated in Pune, if I remember correctly. The Central Building Research Institute, the Central Road Research Institute, which is in Delhi. The CBRI has its campuses both in, I think, in Roorkee and also in Chennai. And you have the NIOT, the National Institute of Oceanography, National Institute of Ocean Technology, that also comes here. So these are some of the research opportunities, places where you can undergo research in various fields of civil engineering, depending upon the field that you want to specialize in. So if you want to specialize in environmental engineering, perhaps any of these top IITs, NITs, if they offer the particular program, and private universities, again, if they offer the program, are options for you. If you're in structures, perhaps all the IITs have the PG programs in structural engineering. Again, SCRC is another option for you. So these are some of the opportunities that are available for you. Of course, the criteria that you need to fulfill is again different. Okay, you can go into defense if you want. You have the military engineering services, the border roads organization, the harbor and dock engineering services. You can become a naval architect. For example, the naval academies do take people with a background in civil engineering. You can be a cartographic duties to the Survey of India Department. Surveying is in fact was a big branch of civil engineering, which has its influence on all major branches of civil engineering, essentially because most of our infrastructure are placed in space, and to locate a position in space, you need to do a survey, whether you want to go in for a theodolite survey or a total station survey, or perhaps use a GPS to locate a position. So whatever that be, the Survey of India becomes extremely important specialization. You can go for law and arbitration, and this is something that's pretty new. That's quite an upcoming area where you can talk about your conflict resolution skills, your skills to settle disputes which could arise between an employer, an engineer, and a contractor. Essentially, because most of the time contractors sometimes overshoot their deadlines, and since time is money, the firms would try to want the contractor to pay. So again, you have these law and arbitration issues coming into place. So essentially, your job profile would be to scrutinize the contract documents, to make claim statements, to attend arbitration hearings, and perhaps you can even take a membership in arbitration institution, which will help you to build up your profile. Okay, so this is another area which is upcoming these days. Okay, now when do you want to specialize? Your specialization essentially comes after your undergraduate program. You can do a postgraduate program and stop with it, or you can continue for a doctoral research program. And even after your doctoral research program, you can branch off into academics, or you can branch off in industry. There are lots of opportunities in the industry as well for this. Okay. Now, where to study? Of course, I told you that if you're for a master's, you have IITs, you have NITs, you have state engineering colleges and private engineering colleges. That's up to you to decide. Master's courses, of course, most NITs, IITs go by the gate. The state engineering colleges sometimes go by gate. They also have self-supporting courses. Private engineering colleges have few seats set apart for gate, if I understand correctly, and then you have a self-supporting scheme. So that's up to you. What is it that you want to do? Now, if you specialize in transportation engineering, I would also want to give you some idea regarding what are the opportunities that are available for you after a PG degree in transportation engineering. Where can you look forward for your career? Okay. So in the industry, perhaps I would say that you have MNCs in place. You have Jacobs, you have AECOM, you have WSP, the HDR, the Parsons, okay, the Arcadis, you have the Kimley Horn, the Atkins, the CHA, okay. So you have a number of MNCs which have their offices in India as well. So who will be taking transportation engineers? You have Cambridge Systematics, you have Kittleson and Associates, Michael Baker, Papi Dawson, you have HNTB, the Walter P. Moore, the VHB, and so on. So these are a number of MNCs where transportation engineers have their options. Now, I would like to add CDM Smith also. So I would like to add here that the entry into these MNCs is not a cakewalk. Okay, you need to essentially impress upon your employers regarding your skills so that you become an indispensable part of their organization or the firm. Now, it's not only enough that civil engineers face job issues. As far as I understand, when some of our alumni have gone abroad and who have done their MS, they have told me that they have sent their resumes to hundreds of firms. They have attended interviews, campus interviews, and they do compete with people for getting a placement. It is never a smooth sailing at any point of time in your career. This is something that you budding engineers should keep in mind. Okay, opportunities are limited. So basically demand is less, supply is more. You need to prove yourself to them. Okay. Now, if you come to higher studies opportunities in US after your post-graduation or maybe for your post-graduation, you have your MIT, you have Stanford, Texas A&M, okay. You have Virginia Tech, Caltech, Berkeley, Purdue, University of Illinois, University of Maryland, Georgia Tech, and so on. I'm taking some of the top universities where you get a chance.
Sir? Sorry, sir, you have got interrupted in between. Sorry for the interruption.
Either into academics or perhaps into research firms. Yes, madam.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. Sir, in between, you got stuck for a while.
Okay.
I'm sorry, sir.
No, it's okay. Shall I go back? Should I go back?
Yeah. No, the same slide. You can just like a little bit
okay.
Backwards, sir. That's it.
Okay, fine. So, so essentially, I was telling you that you have opportunities abroad in top universities for your doctoral studies and as well as for a postdoctoral studies. And it's possible for you to branch off into academics or into industry, depending upon your wish. Now, if you are a person who likes to take up research and be in contact with students, and you are a person having good interpersonal skills, then perhaps your academics is one option for you. But you are a person who is more into core research, then perhaps industry gives you options. Okay, so in Europe, you have this Erasmus School of Economics. I told you that transportation engineering also has in itself the transport economics. So the Erasmus University offers MS in transport economics. You have the Technical University as at Berlin. You have the Urban Mobility School, the Warsaw University of Technology, which is at Poland, the Technical University of Denmark, the ENAC at France, the KTH Royal Institute of Technology at Sweden, the Alto University, the Politecnico Milano at Italy, and of course you have the Sapienza University at Rome. So these are some of the universities where you can go for your master's and PhD in Europe. you have number of other things. I think you need to search it out and look at certain specific programs which you might be interested in. There are a number of programs which offer like transport management, air transport management, and so on and so forth, and the opportunities are available there. It's not that you might have to come back to India. I don't think so. It's quite possible that you get good opportunities there. Now, coming to what you need to be abreast with, the buzzwords that you come across, the Internet of Things, electric vehicles, connected vehicles, autonomous vehicles, okay, on-demand sharing, okay, mobility as a service, okay, big data. Now, like all other civil engineering, specializations, I would say the transportation engineering has is one of the multidisciplinary fields which we can think of, especially because now with information coming up in large quantities, with random and more sophisticated ways of gathering the data. Big data is something that you always need to look forward to. So essentially, you need to develop the skill sets that are required to handle big data. It could be a bit of Python programming. I would always, I'm not a traditionalist in that way, because I would want you to be more skill oriented, to adapt yourself to the changing situations, to develop in yourself a bit of programming skills which will be appreciated by the world outside. It's not that since you are a civil engineer, I will not do any programming, doesn't work anymore. You need to adapt. Now, this is something civil engineers have lots to do in most of these areas, which are also very much related to transportation engineering. I would come into a bit of these and also a bit into what we do with respect to pavement also. So essentially, mobility as a service is wherein which you have an integration between a high capacity transit and your other modes. So essentially, we have seen that public transportation is very low patronage because it's not really reliable, it is not flexible, you don't have information, there is a compromise on safety and so on. But mobility as a service is a concept which helps you to integrate and access the different modes with a high capacity transit line, say for example a metro as a central spine. So essentially you have, say for example, app based features which help you to understand this when a metro would come at a particular station, integrate the nearest timetable of the bus or the availability of a paratransit near your metro station and so on, so that you will be able to use the public transit. At the same time, do not compromise on a comfort and convenience aspect. So you have a Netflix model which have been applied to the urban transportation. Say for example, in Finland, we have what's called a WIM app, which helps you to look at mobility as a service in a global perspective. Now, studies have found that it's quite unnecessary for residents to own a car by 2020 in Finland, because you have such versatile public transportation systems in place which help you to move from one place to another in a very seamless way. So transportation engineers have a lot to do in areas of in implementing some of these systems and understanding the patronage for these systems and the design of these particular systems, so that you can have mobility as a service concept. Okay. You have, again, when you come to pavement design, you have need for cost-effective designs, materials, recycled materials from a sustainable perspective, which helps you to not only to extend the pavement life, but also focus on concrete recycling, the use of industrial waste and byproducts, so that the initial cost and the life cycle cost of the pavements are less. By the way, life cycle cost is the total cost of the pavement, starting from the construction cost till the final overhauling and which includes the maintenance and the final taking off, the taking away of the particular pavement to construct a new pavement. So essentially, you need to reduce these costs. You need to reduce the life cycle costs. And what are the technologies and strategies I can have so that you can have longer pavements, longer life pavements with good quality? Okay. And of course, you can have accelerated construction technologies wherein which people could be able to construct roads in lesser time. We use very high performance engineered concrete mixes, which helps you to accelerate the construction processes, which help you to have innovative materials. We use non-destructive and real-time pavement evaluation construction technologies so that we can have assured quality of construction and assured pavements. So the use of self-healing materials in construction, especially concrete construction, the use of nanomaterials like nanoclay and nanosilica, the use of polymeric nanocomposites, modified bitumens like foam bitumen, ultra thin pavement designs, resin modified pavements. There is something called as a total environmental management plan system, wherein we try to monitor the fresh and hardened concrete temperatures so that we determine when the pavement can be thrown open to traffic. So these are some of the last one is the quiet pavement technology, because sound is a major aspect when vehicles run on the road. So what should be the pavement composition so that the sound is less? These are some of the areas in which lots of research is going on. And as civil engineers, you have lots of scope to contribute. So when you come to the areas which I have taught about, it's essentially for people who have specialized in transportation engineering. If you're yet to decide to specialize in something, you have a large playing ground field to play with. There's absolutely no problem. Of course, you have green technology, you have intelligent systems, okay, and recycle concrete aggregates. Okay, this is my last slide. I will not kill you further. Some things, some advice. There is a saying that there are two types of fools in this world. Okay, the first type are the ones who give an advice. The second are the people who do not take an advice. So let me prefer to be the first kind with the hope that you would not be the second kind. Okay. So essentially, as far as I would say, impressions do matter. Okay. So whenever you face an interview board, be presentable. It helps. Okay. Create a good impression. If you say you do not know something, be bold enough to say that you do not know. Tell them that I'm not quite confident in answering that question. Yeah, that's very straightforward. You need to network quite a lot. Okay, the reason being that the world is becoming multidisciplinary. You never know where you are needed, and the opportunity, the knowledge about an opportunity would come only if people know you. So networking becomes extremely important. I'm sorry. You need to learn quite a lot. Okay, progressively. As teachers, all of us, we also learn quite a lot every day. Okay, you need to speak up, learn to get your point across in a very nice way, very straightforward way, polite but firm. Okay, you need to be flexible because it helps you to stay employed. And when I say flexible, you should not have strong conceptions about what you would be dealing with and what you would not be dealing with in terms of what I'll study and what I will not study. If situation demands, you need to make a change, perhaps in your career, perhaps in what you are learning, so that you become more flexible and be smart. Okay, so essentially, I'm sure the last point would be quite appealing to you, that you should do smart work and not hard work. So it's not the number of hours that you sit in front of the system, but what actually goes inside. Okay, what you actually conceptualize and what you would think about your future would be. Okay, so I would close this session with a quote from Stephen Hawking. He says, "Remember to look up at the stars and not down at your feet. Try to make sense of what you see and wonder about what makes the universe exist. Be curious, and however difficult life may seem, there is always something that you can do and succeed at. It just matters that you don't give up." So essentially, what's important, especially in these tiring times, is that you should not give up. Okay, I wish all of you all the very best. I once again thank VIT for giving me an opportunity to talk to you. I would be willing to take any more questions. Oh yeah, I have taken 55 minutes. Not bad. I hope I haven't lulled you to sleep. Okay, I'd be willing to take any more questions. Madam, please, shall I look at the chat box? I think
yes,
there are a few questions.
Yes, sir. We shall inform students. Thanks a lot, sir. So yeah. Now I request all the participants, if at all you have any query, please put up in your chat box. Yeah. Sir will be ready to take up the questions. I request all participants, if possible, kindly share your queries, suggestions.
Yeah, I think there is one question. It says, what is the scope of construction management in foreign countries? Well, construction management is an area which combines both civil engineering and management aspects. It would have in itself finance management. It would have personnel management, that is human resource management. It would have, material management. So it has lots of scope in the foreign countries. There is absolutely no doubt about it. As long as large construction projects exist and continue to be built, okay, construction management professionals have their role to play. So say, for example, it is not possible for a civil engineer to perhaps look at the nuances of projects which run to billions of rupees. Okay, you require specialized tools in terms of scheduling the particular project, in terms of setting up deadlines for the particular project, because I told you time is money. Okay, so these nuances are taught in construction management, and as long as large construction projects are there, construction management has lots of options. There are absolutely no issues in that. Please feel confident that construction management is a very good higher studies option in foreign countries, and I'm sure you will be getting placed in a good job. In fact, some of our own students from NIT have got good jobs in construction management after their masters in the United States. Absolutely no issues. Which are the good colleges for pursuing environmental engineering in Europe? I'm not, Srinivas, I'm sorry, I am not very sure regarding environmental engineering, but most of the universities, for example, the Netherlands, the Delft University, I've heard, is one university which does extremely good in environmental engineering. I think Anjali madam will be able to enlighten you better in that particular regard. I'm sure most universities are quite, they have good MS programs in environmental engineering. So, so I think Europe as well as Germany, they do have environmental engineering good programs. I'm not very sure regarding the number of programs and the exact colleges, but I think a bit of searching from your end would help you to do that.
I request all of you to put questions to everybody in the chat box, not personally to sir, so that all can read the questions also.
Yeah. This is from Giri Subburatnam, who says, I'm a final year student and who want to be a structural engineer. Good. Congratulations. During this situation, is it advisable to go for higher studies abroad? If so, can you give some suggestion as to where? Okay. Subburatnam, I would tackle this question by being very, very cautious. The reason being that higher studies, higher studies opportunities abroad is all fine, because, but it has some financial, it requires some financial commitment on your end. Okay. So in case if you're going there with a loan being taken from a bank, okay, you might have to work there to repay back the loan. Okay. So if you feel that you have sufficient financial backup and your parents are quite comfortable sending you there, please go. Because in the eventuality of you having to come back here, you should not be in trouble. Okay, because whatever be, after your masters, there is a lot of difference between the remuneration that you would get in India as well as in abroad. Okay, it is when you are abroad that you will be able to save some money and perhaps support your family, one, or to repay back the loan and perhaps lead a comfortable life there. So now these decisions regarding the visa, okay, the H1B and whatever that you must be reading on the newspapers, is dependent upon the political situation in the United States, and also maybe on quite a lot on the Brexit, that's happening in Europe. So please have a very, very proper benefit cost analysis before you further into masters abroad. PhD would not have such a problem, essentially because post-doctoral studies are usually funded by the research projects. So the professors would be able to support you through the projects which they have. So the government funding would not come into picture there. While in the case of MS, it is more self-supporting in nature. PhD is more project supported. Therefore, there is a good chance that you can perhaps, even if the government visa restrictions are even a bit bad, PhD students are normally not affected. So if you would ask me, on a safer side, I would say that you do your masters from a good institute here in India, and then perhaps go for your PhD and a PDF abroad. Good enough. Structural engineers, IIT Madras is excellent in structural engineering. I don't think there is no reason why you should go beyond Chennai if you want to be a good structural engineer. But of course, you need to prepare well for your GATE and give your GATE examination. That's a prerequisite anyways. Okay, so that's something that you need to see. Of course, structural engineering, I told you, most higher institutions, whatever that I've listed, do have MS in structural engineering. So it's possible that you should be getting a placement there, getting a seat there for your masters and also for a PhD. For PhD, it is more of maybe a one-to-one correspondence with the project guide so that whether he has a project that is available for him where he can place you, and perhaps you could do a PhD at the same time support you. Okay, so that's something that you need to take up at a personal level. But in case of masters, you can always go in for a GRE and a TOEFL. Okay. You mentioned the following companies like Jacobs, AECOM, etc. Okay, these companies specialize. They do have projects in transportation, but essentially they are more into infrastructure also. For example, the water supply schemes. They have construction, tunnel constructions, and so on and so forth. So whatever that I've listed here, essentially for transportation engineering and specialize in transportation engineering. Okay.
Sir, one more question was there on the top by Arjun AJ. No problem. Okay. So he's asking, what's the scope of choosing MBA after civil engineering?
MBA after civil engineering. Yeah, I just saw that now. See, if you're planning to do your MBA, depends on what you specialize in. See, for example, in MBA, you have HR, you have finance. Okay, there are a number of specializations. Now, it is possible for you to you are placing me in a difficult position. It might not actually be possible for you to implement whatever that you have studied in civil engineering per se in your MBA. Okay, it would help you, provided that you get into maybe a civil engineering firm after your MBA, where normally they prefer construction management people rather than a pure MBA people. Okay, so civil engineer. So if you are planning to do in civil engineering, and if you have an inherent trait for management, if you're an inherent liking for management, then I would like you to go for construction management. But if you're a civil engineer and you find that civil engineering is not your cup of tea, you would like to go more into say HR. If you're going to want to go into finance, then perhaps you go for an MBA. That's what I would suggest. This is my personal opinion. You are free to consult many more learned people in this particular matter. This is what I've seen. But you know, the MBA people do not, because if you see the people who come to MBA, they are not only engineers, by the way. They are not only civil engineers. You have electronics engineers, mechanical engineers, electrical engineers. You have arts and science graduates who do their BBA and they come. You have a motley lot of people there. So where civil engineering application could be less. But if you feel that you want to branch off into core management, go ahead and do it. Okay. Nowadays, BTech is just rather a degree. It has come to that level now. Okay. So of course, you need to be good in your civil engineering if you want to continue in civil engineering, but you are free to branch off. See, our students have gone into civil services, have gone to MBA everywhere. Okay. But we have nothing, no hard feeling against them, no bad blood against them. They're all doing extremely good. We are all extremely happy they have reached these places. So it's up to you. The world is wide open. Opportunities are there. Please go ahead. Okay.
Thank you, sir. Another question by Lakshmi Nambiar. What is your opinion doing masters in New Zealand or Germany?
Good opinion, I would say. New Zealand, in fact, I think it's much more easier nowadays to get a citizenship in New Zealand, Australia, and Canada. These are places which have slightly good opportunities for you to get a permanent residence there. So if you're planning to shift there, well and good. I would strongly recommend. See, I would look at it this way. It is not that Indian universities are bad. It is that you get more of an exposure there when you go outside. It could be, see, what was said and done, the level of technology and equipment that we use and you get exposed to is much, much lesser than what they have there. The reason being that they're rich. It's very simple and straightforward. It's all money. So if you want to have, say, for example, in environmental engineering, say, for example, or if I take pavement technology, if I want to have an instrument which will give you to the level of a nanoscale, okay, the composition of bitumen, or perhaps of a fiber, or that you use in a filter or whatever. So the level at which research is done in India, I would say, is a decade behind what is happening in the US, because they have access to technology. So once you opt for a higher studies abroad, you get exposed to that technology. You realize that there are a lot more than what you have studied, which is good anyway, because in any BTech engineering curriculum, it is not possible for us to, jam pack you with information on civil engineering. Not possible. Fundamentals would be dealt with. Go abroad, build up on your fundamentals, and try to specialize. So I would say Germany is a good option. New Zealand is a good option. Canada is a good option. Australia is a good option. Go ahead and see the world. if possible, do come back if possible. That would what I would say. Otherwise, be happy wherever they are. I would look at you more as a world citizen rather than a citizen of India or a citizen of nothing of that sort. You contribute to the world. Perhaps you have lots to contribute to the world. That's what I would say. Okay.
But financially, Germany would be costlier, sir.
Financially, Germany, again, madam, it would depend. As far as I understand, see, for example, there is a scheme called as a DAD fellowship scheme, okay, wherein which people get to go to Germany for doing their one-year project during their master's programs from IIT. So if you get into an IIT and you have you establish a rapport with one of the professors who know another person at Germany, one of our students have gone there. So you get to spend 1 year and you get a reasonably good scholarship for that. You get a scholarship in India. You also get a scholarship in euros in Germany. It's possible. So it is just that you need to tap the correct source and try to have linkages with people. It helps. Some of these, again, masters, usually all masters programs are self-supporting, but doctoral programs are, supported by the projects. So in that way, Germany could be a good option for even for a doctoral studies also. But again, Germany has one issue, that the language, they will not talk anything other than German. If you want to go to Germany, please have a fundamental understanding about German. All their code books, the IS codes, what are that we have, your SP16 and IS 456, everything, what are their equivalents there are all in German. So either you have Google Translate with you all the time to translate between and they will not reply back to you in English if you post them a question in English, even if they know English, because they would want to converse in German. That's a way of life. You have to adjust to it. That's all. So Germany is a good option. Yes, no doubt about it. If I want, I can connect you with one of our alumni. He did his master's at IIT Madras. He used the DAD scholarship to go to Germany. He came back. He started pursuing his PhD. He got an admission for the Prime Minister's Research Fellowship Program, and he also is now abroad as a part of his research work in Germany.
He's also a gold medalist in IIT Madras.
He was also the gold medalist at IIT Madras. Yeah, exactly. So you know him. Yeah.
Yes,
so,
sir.
Yeah. So he'll be very happy to help you or clear your doubts regarding opportunities in Germany. I can always give his email ID and he'll be helping you. No issue. So. Getting to know people and to know how things are is again quite possible because of linkages. Again, networking. That's what I said, networking.
Thank you, sir. We shall move on to the next question. Next question is by Arjun. Sir, I have joined masters in structural engineering. What types of consultancy can one start in structural engineering field?
Structural consultancies, as an entrepreneur, if you want to start an entrepreneur, it is not actually possible for you to get very large projects in the beginning itself. Okay, so maybe I would say that it could be from, say, a G+3 construction complex is what you would actually start, because that's where the design actually comes. Because others construction firms would normally going for say a G+1 residential buildings or a G+2 building and so on, where there's lots of structural design which comes into place. If you want to go in for a structural engineering firm, then perhaps I would ideally ask you to work in a good structural engineering firm, maybe associate yourself with maybe L&T, associate yourself into good MNC first, gain the experience of theirs, say 5 to 10 years, and then come back and start structural engineering, because your experience counts. Okay, so the very fact that you are a fresher, okay, out of your masters, and you start a structural construction firm, a structural design firm, the prospects of you getting good clients would be less. On the other hand, if you have a fighting experience in an MNC, okay, and then you come back, you employ people under you, and you be the front end of your company, I'm sure you'll be able to get a number of projects. There'll be no dearth of projects, because people would obviously look at the history. They would ask you, how many projects have you completed? Can you take us to the project that you have completed? Now, you as a fresher might not have anything to show as being completed. But on the other hand, when you say that you have experience in dealing with these things, your market value increases, which is why I said with experience, civil engineers aspect, net worth improves. Okay. So I would strongly suggest you to get into a good firm, work in groups, understand projects, Okay, maybe even in an entry into an MNC, you would be dealing with only a very small portion of a particular project. They would just ask you to design the foundation part, only foundation. You will not have to go to columns and beams and slabs and nothing of that sort. They'll just go to a small bit part. So maybe in 2-3 years, you get trained. And then you ask for a change in the section. And then you get a much more, broader view, a more macroscopic view of projects. How are projects handled? What are the, so you learn quite a lot. So maybe a 5-10 year period is something that I'm sure you people at your age will be able to afford first, and then come down to an entrepreneurship. Okay, this is what I would ideally suggest. Okay, because otherwise, you have a whole establishment put in place, and then if you don't get good projects, then perhaps it will not be lucrative. It will not be financially viable. Okay.
Okay, sir. Next question is from NIT Calicut alumni, Nehna. So she is asking, construction management or structural engineering, which one is having more career opportunities? Can you kindly give your suggestion?
Construction management and structural engineering.
Engineering, sir.
Where in India or abroad? Nehna.
It hasn't specified.
Okay, Nehna. Okay. Construction management or structural engineering. See, structural engineering is more of an office job. Okay, so any large project that you take, you need to have a structural engineer, provided that you have a big structure running to say lakhs of square feet of space. You need to employ that, and you need to construct that physically in the field. You require a construction management specialist. So I would say that if you're a person who are into it depends on your skill sets. I would say, I would not say that one has more opportunities than the other. I would look at it this way. If you are a person who is meticulous, who would prefer a bit of office work, but who would also like some interaction between the clients and adjust and hearing their their concerns, you can be a structural engineer. If you are a person who would want to implement in the site, okay, deal with uncertainties, deal with people, deal with materials and money. You are a very outgoing person, a bubbling excitement. You are a person who's of that kind. Then perhaps I would say construction management is a good option. It's your skill set that's important. If you ask me, perhaps I would never be a good person in construction management because I'm not great in dealing with people. But perhaps you ask me to sit down and do a calculation, I might be happy. So it depends. So I would say opportunities are there, okay, but in both, because we have our own students, they are everywhere. They are in construction management, they're also in structural engineering. And also one more thing, I would say that there is no gender bias as far as construction management is concerned. There are a number of girls who have taken up construction management and doing pretty well. Okay, in fact, one of our alumni, they have started an all-girl construction firm. They are doing both structural design as well as implementation. It's five women together. It's the first women-only construction firm. It's based in Pune. She was a 2013 graduate. So there is no doubt, there is no limits. Okay, gender-wise, go ahead. Okay, again, you learn from experience. Okay, you understand where you stand. You understand your I would say your strengths, your weaknesses, depending upon what you do. So once you feel that this is not my cup of tea, you can always switch. Yeah. So that's up to you. There will always be place for you in a construction firm, whether you want to be a structural engineer or you want to be a construction management. That's up to you. That's totally your cup of tea.
Thank you, sir. Next question by Ankita Krishnan. She's asking, for teaching profession in Kerala, which subject in MTech is more accurate? Maybe appropriate is the word planning to use. Yeah.
That's all. Again, Ankita, I would say, see, you might have an affinity towards a particular subject when you study. Okay, a passion. Follow your passion. Follow your heart. If you're a person who feels that environmental engineering is something you are very much concerned about the environment, you have a penchant for doing experiments in the lab. So if you ask me, I would never do an experiment in lab. I'm very clumsy with my fingers. I will break all the test tubes and beakers that are anywhere in my vicinity. I cannot do that. Okay, so I'm very poor in experimentation part. I find it a bit difficult to look closely at reading. So this is how I have judged myself. But if you ask me perhaps to do a calculation, a mathematical calculation, I would do it. I would sit down and do it over and over again till I get the correct answer. That's up to me. Your courses, whatever that you have, whether it's construction engineering, whether it's structural engineering or environmental engineering, you follow your heart. As far as teaching profession is concerned, since BTech students are being taught, all these branches would find people. Okay, they require teachers. So everybody obviously would require a highway engineer like Gautam to teach them, transportation engineering like Gautam who is specialized in pavement engineering to teach them transportation engineering, obviously, and madam in environmental engineering to teach you environmental engineering. So there is no specific requirement for any one particular type. Okay, all who are specialized do find their way into teaching profession. There are no okay. There's another person.
Yeah, Naveen is also asking question. He's asking the scope of environmental engineering in India.
Oh, there is lots of scope of environmental engineering. The reason being that, nowadays all major projects need to get vetted by the Ministry of Environment and Forests. Of course, they are diluting the environmental impact laws these days, which is not a good thing. But still, you require people to make an assessment of environmental impact assessment. So environmental impact assessment also comes with it, the social impact assessment. So how does projects affect the flora, the fauna? How does it affect the people around? Okay, so environmental engineering is an upcoming field. See, for example, cities, you require good water for people to survive. You require to give them sewerage systems. We require water purification plants. We require sewage treatment plants. You require, facilities, systems wherein which the air pollution levels are lesser. There is immense potential for environmental engineering. I would say there's lots of potential for environmental engineering in India. Any growing economy would have its problems. See, environmental engineering plays a very critical role in abatement of environmental problems. Air pollution is a great issue in cities. What are environmental engineers going to do about it? Fixing air purifiers is not a great solution, by the way. Okay, so you require your technical expertise. You require your expertise and in solving those problems. Lots of scope, I would say. There is absolutely no. In fact, most major MNCs have a wing for environmental engineering, by the way, where they take environmental engineering. So that's also something that I would like to add here. That most of these companies, when they quote for large projects, they would give, in fact, a list of the employees in the particular firm. Okay, so they would give the name of the people, the qualifications. So for large projects, they would prefer having people with a PG specialization. The reason being that you are much more, you are supposed to be an expert in that particular field. So even if it's a structural engineering project, you would require a geotechnical expert there. Okay, you would also need structural engineers. So in addition to a BTech, I would strongly recommend you to go for your master's. If you're planning to be in the civil engineering profession, master's would be ideal for you. Even in MNCs, you require a postgraduate degree for increasing your worth. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, sir. So we shall move on to the next question. We have few more questions. Students have listed few more questions.
No problem.
This question is by Mahima Mary Thomas. So she's asking, is it easy and enough to get a job in Germany with an MTech qualification alone?
Labor laws are different, Mahima. I'm not very sure regarding job opportunities in Germany. I think it is possible because many of our people have completed. Europe, as far as I understand, is not so very open to foreigners compared to US. Okay, Europe is not. Okay, so it might not be actually very easy for you to get, but provided that you have proved yourself, it should not be a problem. So Germany is concerned, the number of people who have done their masters in Germany and who have continued there, as far as to my limited knowledge, is pretty less. But US, there are pretty more. Okay, so Germany, especially Germany, Finland, France, etc., are not so very open to foreigners getting employed there. They have a huge or a very complicated job, requirement. And so if a foreigner needs to be employed there, They have lots of paperwork to be done, lots of permission to be taken and so on, which they do not normally prefer. They would rather have a German taking up a job there, having a similar qualification compared to an Indian who wants to stay there. Why I know this? Because one of our students did his internship at in Paris, in France. So I was asking him, why don't you get settled there? He said, sir, there are opportunities, but the issue is they would prefer French rather than Indian. So he had to come back. He is working in Bangalore. He's doing pretty good. But then, such issues are there in Europe. So you need to be a bit careful when you choose for higher studies in Europe. That's what I would say.
Thank you, sir. So next question is by Giri. So Giri has two questions. The first question, what is the difference between MS in civil engineering with specialization on structural engineering and MS in structural engineering? So he's asking, what impacts does it have on a person's career? This is the first question. Okay. Second question, what are the good options for masters in structural engineering abroad? Okay.
See, Giri, as far as I would say regarding the first question, MS in civil engineering with specialization in structural engineering and MS in structural engineering is all the same. It's only a question of rewording the degrees. Okay. Maybe you would be, when you say MS in civil engineering with specialization in structural engineering, maybe you would be taking one more subject, maybe in geotechnical engineering and so on. So it's only a question of phrasing the degree. MS in civil engineering is very much equivalent to the other one. I don't think there is any problem in that. Okay. But regarding the second one, which is options for masters in structural engineering abroad, oh, there are umpteen. Purdue, MIT, Stanford, you name it. You name it. All good universities in the US have MS programs in structural engineering. Please join as per, please prepare well for your GRE and your TOEFL. A good GRE score and a TOEFL score with a reasonably written SOP, statement of purpose, would get you into a good university in the US. There is no issues. They want people. Very reason is financial. For their sustenance, they require money from our people so that they can pay the people there. It's very straightforward. It is not because of their liking towards Indians that they want Indians there. They want Indians because they want money. Okay. So you're willing to pay the money, you go there. So no issues, but the exposure that you get, the life, the opportunities that you get are much more. So that's something. So you are paying for that life. You're paying for those opportunities. That would help you in the long run. Okay. So that's always there. So that's always give and take. So if you're willing to pay more and you do well in a GRE and a TOEFL, I assure you, you will be getting, a good placement in structural engineering. No issues. Go for MIT, nothing less than MIT.
Thank you, sir. So next question by Divya Shibu. Yeah. So she's asking, can we do masters in architecture after studying civil engineering abroad? About co-op programs too. So she's asking
masters in architecture. Okay, I would look at it in a slightly different way. Architecture departments usually run an urban planning program, master of planning programs or master of urban planning programs, in which they take people in civil engineering background. Okay, so the masters in architecture, MArch is usually reserved only for people who have their BArch degree. That means bachelor's in architecture degree. But if you go for master of planning program or master of urban planning program, which architecture departments do run, they take civil engineers also. Okay, so that is one option for you. So if you're interested in maybe a planning for a large city, okay, a land use planning and things of that sort, which is a higher level planning than planning for a house or a planning for a shopping complex and so on. Okay, you can go in for master of planning or master of urban planning program after your civil engineering. This option is available abroad, but master of architecture MArch program is not usually open for civil engineers. Okay. Of course, you have co-op programs. Because it's possible for you to specialize in planning while doing. Okay, that way I doubt co-op programs. You mean to say dual degree programs? Is that what you have in mind? Anjali, can you clarify?
I shall clarify, sir. I shall check with Divya Shibu. Divya, you can put it in chats. We shall. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, she's checking for dual programs.
Dual degree programs. Okay, MS dual degree programs are available abroad, but Divya, I would strongly suggest you that putting too many things in your plate is a risk. Okay, MS programs abroad are extremely tedious. They are time consuming. They expect a lot from you. Do not in any way compare them with the BTech program that is run anywhere in India. BTech programs is 4-year paid vacation for you. As far as I look at it, it's pretty easy. You are spoon fed. You have a good life. MS programs is not like that. They are extremely tough. Okay. They require lots of your time. So when it comes to dual degree programs, the effort that you need to put in is much more. So if you are willing to put in that effort, it's possible for you to have dual degree programs. But then again, I feel it'd be too much on your plate. Think about it. But again, I told you, planning is a good option for you. If you're interested into the architecture side, with large scale planning, that should be possible. Yes.
Thank you, sir. So we have 5 more questions. Hope we have 5 minutes also.
No, it's okay. I have no issues. My evening afternoon is free. Yeah, no problem.
Thanks a lot, sir. So next we have Elizabeth Harrison. The question is, what is the scope of highway engineering abroad? And he's planning to do, I think she is planning to do graduate diploma in highway engineering from Western Institute of Technology, Taranaki, New Zealand.
Oh, great. Congratulations, Elizabeth. I hope your plans come fruit. I hope you get into there. As long as roads are built, as long as infrastructure is in place, do not have any doubts. There are lots of scope for highway engineering. We have our own students who have done their PG diploma there, and graduate diploma there, and their PG diploma. I think it's PG diploma, and they are well settled. Don't be hesitant for doing that. Go there, but I would always say that there will be lots of competition. You will have to prove yourself. Okay, so I wish you all the best. There are lots of scope. Don't worry about it at all. Don't worry about it at all. New Zealand is a nice place to live in.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. So now we have next question from Akshaya. She's asking, which country is more futuristically inviting for underwater construction or offshore engineering?
Oh, offshore engineering. I think that is Shashikala madam's area. See, Akshay, I would like to put it this way. When the pressure on land, is more, you try to go in for construction or rather expansion, towards the sea. You have vertical expansion towards space, but there are limits for that. But still, therefore, you try to encroach upon the sea part. Okay. Now, so one country which has lots of scope in underwater construction and offshore engineering is Japan. Japan and even UAE, they are trying to reclaim land. So basically, it's land reclamation and construction of structures. There. So UAE, I would say, Japan is another country. India too, I think, would start in that particular area, but it is quite costlier. So which is one reason why people do not go in for that. So I would say Japan and UAE are 2 places that you can look at it. Okay. Yeah, I think that's something. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Next, we'll move on to Basil Binu's question.
Yeah.
So he's asking, is there any scope for research in construction management, like doing PhD in India or abroad?
Oh, yes, lots of scope. Most of your IITs, IIT Madras, IIT Delhi, IIT Bombay, they all have faculty who are specialized in construction management. So construction management, it involves construction, development of efficient construction practices, to be put in place. So it's a very large area, by the way. Okay, it starts with even legal the documentation part, the drafting of tenders, of agreements. It will go on into, that's also part of construction management, the tendering process, and then it will come to actual implementation in the field. So what construction practices can you use? It's a data hungry specialization, I would say, because you require data from large construction projects, which you can analyze and put forth better techniques for speedy and efficient construction. Okay, so most of the universities abroad also have construction management specialists, because most construction, when you say construction management, it's not only highways. You have tunnels, you have water treatment plants, you have 40-story buildings, you name it. Okay, so there is lots of scope. There is absolutely no issues. And if you're really interested, I think you should go do it at IIT Madras or IIT Delhi, IIT Bombay. It's up to you. There are no dearth of options in construction management as far as India is concerned.
Thank you, sir. So next question we have from Josh and John. He's asking, what are the scope for quality assurance, quality control engineer in India and abroad?
Oh yes, quality is something that is now being looked upon in a very large way. See, for example, even in roads, okay, we have there is something called as PMGSY, the Prime Minister's Gram Sadak Yojana, which is one project of the government of India. So even there, you have quality inspectors, quality assessors who are put in place to ensure that the construction quality is up to the mark. So one reason why our roads fail is because of the poor maybe construction material that is being used or faulty construction practices. So basically, quality in construction is a very important aspect. There are scopes, in fact, there are certifications, especially for quality certified professionals, okay, wherein you have these online certification programs which help you to do this. In fact, I would say that if you are planning to go to the US or maybe resettle yourself to Canada or to Australia and so on, there are certificate programs which are offered by the universities which do this quality assessment and quality certification. They are in good demand. It should be possible for you to do it. Okay, I would say that it's a good area to specialize in, provided that if you want to relocate. In India too, most construction firms do have these quality monitoring experts as employees. So you would be getting, but of course you would be starting first as an engineer, a civil engineer, a junior engineer, and so on, and then go up the hierarchy with your certification with you. Okay, right.
Thank you, sir. So we have 4 more questions. No problem. Before moving on to the question, I kindly request the participants to please, give your feedback, because once you give us the feedback, only you will be able to generate your e-certificate. So we request you kindly, please add your feedback in the forms supplied here. So we shall move on to the next question. So next question is by a first-year MTech student. So the question is, how to apply for structural engineering job in abroad like Canada after completing MTech in structural engineering in India? So he's currently pursuing structural engineering.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That question, that is a slightly difficult question. The reason being that, as far as I understand, MNCs do come. Okay. For example, I know of our own student who did his master's in geotechnical engineering at IIT Madras, and an MNC came to IIT Madras and took him, and he was employed in Singapore for I think for 3 years, and now he has relocated to Canada. Okay. Now, how these MNCs would come is essentially based upon the contacts that your institution has with these MNCs. So it is possible that these MNCs could be clients to your institution. They have taken some consultancy work. The professors in your department, I don't know where you're studying, but the professors in your department have some contact with these firms, and they say that, see, there is a person here who is, good enough, who has done his master's. Is there any opportunity? The network way. Or I would ask your department, the Department of Training and Placement, or a Training and Placement Center, whatever that you have in your institution, to approach these MNCs, okay, highlighting the features of the program that is being offered and what are the skill set that you can expect. And if you can say that it very well matches with the requirements that you have, would you mind considering our people also? So these are 2 ways in which it is run. A normal sending a resume from a fresher who has just completed his master's in structural engineering to be considered by an MNC is, the chances are remote. Okay, so either you require contact or maybe through your Department of Training and Placement. That is what I would suggest. Okay.
Thank you, sir. So we shall move on to the next question. Next question is by Padma. So she has 2 questions. The first part is, can she get into a good university abroad taking IELTS exam alone? That is the first question. Second question is, she's asking, can she study MS in Germany and then get a job opportunity in US?
Okay. Regarding university abroad taking IELTS exam alone, there are universities abroad which consider only IELTS, but they sometimes look for a reasonable GRE score also. To my understanding, GRE and TOEFL are what they would normally look for. Most of the universities look for. IELTS will be an added advantage for them. I don't think only IELTS universities, I don't think they take. Okay, they would require a GRE plus a TOEFL or a GRE plus IELTS. That is to my understanding. you might need to probe further on that. Okay, I'm not really very sure on that. But then that another one which you had asked me was studying in Germany and then shifting to
Then
US.
shifting to US for job.
Quite possible. I don't think it's an issue. I don't think it's an issue. But again, you know, see, you need to look at it this way. From an employer's perspective, he would always want the processes quite uncomplicated. Okay, you are an Indian citizen studying in Germany and wanting to shift to US. You know, it's a rather a circuitous way. If I'm an employer in US, I would rather say that my first preference would be for an MTech or an MS graduate from an American citizen from US, one. My second would be any other nationality from US. And the third would be a person who has done his MS somewhere in Europe, but wants to come to US. So in the hierarchy of, you know, there are lots of complicated procedures that are involved in you getting a job in the US. It's not a very straightforward path. So unless the employers are really keen on your skill sets, they might not actually prefer a person who has done his master's in Germany coming to US for a job. Rather than making a simpler way would be to go for first to an American citizen who has done his master's there, or maybe another Indian citizen perhaps who has done his master's there, because his visa and everything, you know, it is extendable by 1 year and so on and so forth. And then you might need to come back and go and get your visa, you know, changed into an employment visa. So it's rather a long shot for you, I feel, to go to an MS in Germany and then coming to US. Think about it. I have not heard of many people doing this. Okay, you should be careful. Okay, right, madam.
Thank you, sir. So we just have 2 more questions.
Yeah.
So next is by Anslia.
Yeah.
She's asking, what are the criteria for MS program in Australia?
MS program in Australia again goes by the GRE and the TOEFL, if I remember correctly. It's the same for PhD also. It's a mandatory requirement. For PhD, it's only TOEFL, I suppose. For MS program, you require both GRE and TOEFL. That's what they normally look for. A good score should easily take you for. It should not be very easy for people. You need to work maybe for 2-3 months. Put in your best. It will come through.
Okay. Last question, sir. It's by Alfie Nixon. He's asking, what are the scope of geotechnical engineering in India and abroad?
Oh, all our civil engineering structures are built on the ground, Alfie. So not at all an issue. Okay. We need to build from the ground, and for building a good structure, you require a good foundation. For a good foundation, you require a good geotechnical engineer. Don't have no worries. If you are interested in geotech, in fact, the challenges that is geotechnical engineer facing is immense, because, you know, the soil structure is so varying. Okay, we take assumptions that it is homogeneous. It's heterogeneous like hell. Okay, it's really a challenge for you, especially now with the pressure on land. Okay, and the pressure to build upwards. There is lots of scope for a geotechnical engineer to design a safe structure. Okay, so it's not only enough that your structure stands today, it should stand for another 10 years and should stand in such a way that doesn't sink. It's usable. You don't want to live in a house or in a flat, a G+10 flat, which is tilted. Okay, so geotechnical engineers have lots of roles to play. Don't worry. If you are a civil engineer and you want to be in geotechnical engineering profession, go ahead and do it. But I would want you to go for your master's in geotechnical engineering, okay, so that you can get into a good firm and do your design part. There are lots of scope. Nothing to worry. Okay.
Thanks a lot, sir. So with this, the questions that has popped up in chats are over. If anybody would want to ask direct questions to sir, kindly feel free. Please unmute yourself and ask. We shall allow 2 questions if it is needed, or else we shall move on to the felicitation part. Any students who are interested, feel free to please unmute and ask question.
Sir, I'm Divya.
Yeah.
Divya.
Yeah.
Yeah, Divya.
I asked something like I said like that I want to do masters in architecture.
Yeah.
And I like to design a lot, plan and design a lot.
Okay,
that's
fine, good.
Architecture.
Yeah.
Currently, I'm studying in civil engineer.
That's okay.
And I'm looking for studying in abroad.
Okay.
Mostly, preferably, I'm looking for Canada.
Okay.
And that's why I want to ask.
Divya, I would strongly perhaps urge you to go for M-Plan programs. M-Plan programs are open for civil engineers. They have lots of architecture imbibed in it, okay? Because normally they are offered by departments of architecture and planning, okay? Like it's like urban planning programs. In fact, if you want to do it in Canada, I think Toronto State University, University of Toronto, they have M-Plan programs. You please look at the program structure. They have these studio-based courses which help you to put in your skill sets relating to design, maybe on a macro scale. Okay, not on a micro scale, on a macro scale. So it could be designing a neighborhood. Okay, it could be designing the layout of streets. It could be designing the overall architecture for a big city and so on. Okay, you will not go into a house design, or you would not go into a flat design, or a kitchen design, as these architects do from the lower level, of course. Then they go to shopping complexes and multiplexes. So, but if you want to do it at a macro level, planning is one aspect, one place where civil engineers have their opportunity. Try to explore that. Totally branching off to MArch might not be possible, because as far as I understand, MArch is limited to people who have done their bachelor's in architecture. Okay, and it's also required because some of their prerequisites require a firm grounding in architecture. Okay.
Sir, I would like to know about the job opportunities also.
Planners, yes, they are usually most of these metropolitan agencies, okay, or they call it as counties or whatever. There, the metropolitan agencies do require urban planners, because urban planners not only look into spatial planning, they also branch off into environmental impact assessment, social impact assessment, and so on. Okay? So there are opportunities, but as I told you, that it would be more of a project-based employment. Okay, it's not like a permanent employment that once you get in there, you are there throughout your career. You have to essentially prove yourself, and it's more of a project-based one that depending upon the projects that you have, you will be paid, you will be employed. This is the same in most MNCs as well. Okay, it all depends on your skill sets, as I told you. So it is possible. There is no dearth in that. But I think Canada, you might, I think you might require to do a degree there before you get into a citizenship and so on. You need to, I know of people who are applying and they are quite now open regarding their citizenship. Do not know for how long, okay? So let's see. Anyway, best wishes to you. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Anybody else have any question? Last question. We shall take this as last. Anybody? Okay, I think no more questions, sir. So I shall request Tejas.
Good morning, ma'am. Good morning, sir. Ma'am, can you hear me?
Good afternoon. Yes, dear, we can hear you. You can start your felicitation.
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you very much, Harikrishna, sir, for giving us such an informative session. First, I would like to thank definitely Anjali ma'am and Gautam sir. They have kept us very well with the trends in the civil engineering, with this different webinars which they conduct every week, and then obviously my civil engineering department and my other teachers and my faculty. So now amidst this COVID disaster, we civil engineers, especially as fourth year, we are in a very confusing state of mind. We thought we'll get placement and go, but now all this TCS Infosys are coming. They are not giving civil engineers option. We are not shortlisted. So our very next option would be higher engineering, and all of us are so confused, and we don't know what are the job opportunities, how to go about with our things, and etc. So Harikrishna sir, you gave us such an important. You clarified so much doubt regarding our higher engineering, higher studies. What are the jobs opportunities? Where to go? Which country is a good country? And you answered them in such a nice manner, like we could understand them, sir. It was like. It was very nice listening to you, because you gave us a very like a comfortable thing. Like you told us your flaws, telling you are not good at environmental because you kept breaking glass. You couldn't work with people, so we could relate to you like in a lot of ways, and that gave us a very nice homely and kind of thing. Now coming to transport engineering, I feel transport engineering is one of the most underrated civil engineering branches, and underrated branch of all time. Because now when we see cars, we think of mechanical engineers. When we see buildings, we think of structural engineers. But when we see our roads and other things in India, first thing what comes in our mind is government of India, not transport engineering. So, so now, but again, like today, we found out that transport engineering is very important. Subjects like transport planning, geometric design, traffic engineering, payment engineering. If these subjects are not there, there will be no connectivity, and without connectivity, nothing would have happened. You gave us a very brief information, but a very crisp information on how the basic transportation, the 4 subjects: planning, geometric design, traffic engineering, payment engineering, how they're important. And you gave us very good examples for each one of them. For example, transportation planning was very important for giving us the golden quadrilateral. Geometric design, because we keep seeing faulty design, like ECR was a very faulty design. Then traffic engineering for having traffic planning during big events like Commonwealth and etc. And then we have payment engineering for Indian roads, which is much required right now. So there is so much scope. And then you gave us what is the future scope in transport engineering and civil engineering as a whole. For example, for core jobs, we have so many other public sector and private sectors like BAIL, ONGC, Border Road, Indian Defense, etc. And then for higher studies, we all know. First of all, you gave a very brief explanation, a very nice explanation of how higher studies in other countries, and then you sat and you discussed everybody's doubts in a most wonderful manner possible. You explained everything properly from the basics to the end. And then you gave us also the scope of what is happening after the PhD, what we can do, what we shouldn't do, and etc. And then you ended up with the new trends in transportation engineering, like how Internet of Things, electric vehicles, and mobility service is important, and how it is going to grow. And in the last slide, you gave us information about very general life advices in a very nice manner, which all of us understood, like which I would definitely take. I'm not in the other second option of leaving it out. I would take a life example: making ourselves presentable, working smart, etc. Thank you very much, sir. This was a very nice session, and we all required right now because we are all in a very confused state of mind, and we didn't know what to do. So thank you very much, sir, and thank you very much, ma'am, for giving this opportunity.
Thanks a lot, Tejas, and that was a heartfelt felicitation, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tejas, for the kind words, and thank you for the audience. You have been quite patient listening to me. It was a monologue for 50
Sir,
minutes.
can I just add one more point, sir? I'm sorry, sir. Can I add one more point?
Yeah.
Sure,
Sir,
yeah.
you kept telling you will kill us, you will kill us, you will kill us, but you have definitely not done that. What you have done,
I don't know, Tejas. Anyway, thank you very much.
you have brought life into highway engineering and transport engineering, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Obviously, we already had so much interest because of Gautam sir, sir. He taught us very well. On top of that,
he was my colleague here. He was my colleague here for some time before he joined you there. So I know him very well.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Tejas. That was indeed a great felicitation. And thanks a lot, sir, from all of us here, VIT, on behalf of VIT, on all participants who have come and attended the session. It was indeed very lively, and at the same time, we as civil engineers, we feel more responsible, as you said, right? So we are the people who will create wonders, and let's keep doing that again, sir. And thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you, Gautam.
Yes, and before we leave, I request all of you to kindly switch on your video so that we can take a snapshot. A group photo, please. A virtual photo.
Okay, virtual.
Yeah.
This is something we miss now. So
yes.
People.
So meanwhile, while others are switching on the video, I shall again, give a recap of, not recap, I will give you what is going to happen in the next webinar. So our 4th webinar is on 8th of October. So there we'll be having another renowned speaker, Dr. Saju Bedacheri. So he's from Australia. He's working as a sedimentary petrologist and reservoir quality geoscience consultant. So he'll be speaking on significance of geology in recent research areas. I hope, so this would be mainly giving stress on to geology specialization in civil engineering. So basically, what is geology and what are the major scope in geology? So I request all of you to kindly attend the session on 8th of October, Thursday 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. So next week alone, we will be having 2 seminars simultaneously. So we'll be having it on 8th as well as 9th. So 9th, we'll be bringing another renowned speaker who is already working in construction field for past so many years. So you will be getting a full knowledge about what a recruiter's perspective would be, okay, as a construction engineer. So yes, I think, sir, we are all ready for the photo.
Yeah.
Gautam, sir, you're on mute, I guess.
Anjali ma'am, can you please stop my sharing? I think my computer got just stuck. I'm just connecting from mobile.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Yes.
Sir, it's done. I shall also take a print screen. Thanks a lot, everybody, for being such a wonderful audience, such a wonderful, interactive session we had. The multiple questions that has been asked shows how well you were connected with the speaker. So that is how any session, any webinar can be a success. Thanks a lot, everybody, and meet you all next week.
Yeah,
take
best
care.
wishes, everybody. Yeah, best wishes and take care. Do well. God bless.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anjali ma'am. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Gautam, see you then. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Raju, bye bye. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Right.
Okay, dears. Bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.